Hello and welcome back. So, here we are. It's what I'm going to call a mid-game spiel. We will see if it's mid-game or in-game. Either's a possibility right here. When you start seeing the Dominion actually climb into areas that I can't preach down, because this becomes very hard to preach out. I would have to put a ton of preachers in a province like this, and this one's actually getting there as well. So this may very well be pretty much the in-game spiel right here as well. Uh, so first, before we really get into the good, the bad, and where the game is going to go, if I can manage to make it that long, let's go ahead and just state the obvious again. Rule number one: pick a good map. Check. Rule number two: don't fight a water nation. Yeah, that's just going to be the way it is. So, now that we've got the basic rules out of the way, let's go ahead and discuss the good and the bad. Well, let's start with the bad. Little few minor mess ups in expansion, like uh, the independents that are basically the little Micklin, the guys with all of the slings. I'm pretty sure, I'd have to go back and watch it, but I'm pretty sure they move forward and then they throw out their slings. So I think that that's what happened, because I did lose quite a bit of expansion force right there. And I'm fairly certain, actually, that that is what happened. And other than that, though, I was happy, generally speaking, with expansion. And what I mean by generally is I probably should have just brought my other expansion force back into here and retooled to basically come out here and start conquering up the rest of this. And I should have taken that second expansion force, and I should have came down into here. Now, why is this? And this is something I know from personal experience and having fallen into this sort of gameplay loop before. And that is, you want to make landfall you want to make landfall with different opponents. And what I mean by that is the chances of Hinnom, Kalium all going to war with me in the early game, that doesn't really exist. And so what you try to do is you try to make landfall in an area like this, and then you try to make landfall on the opposite side here. That way you've got some chance of holding the land. We can see that Pelgia owns these couple of provinces here, and it's highly, highly doubtful that they took that from somebody, much like these provinces over here. They probably just ended up with those. And if I could have gotten something like these farmlands right here, I knew this was open for a long time. We did see that this was open. I don't remember if my scouting report showed that these were open as well. I'm pretty sure I kind of I crossed right through, I think, right here. But if I could have just managed to have picked up a few provinces up here, that would be a pretty significant deal overall, just in terms of moving into this mid-game war, which, if we're going to be completely honest, was probably one, because as you could see, there's little chance that Pelgia is going to be able to actually do anything and stop me at this point. So I may be dom killed, and I may actually still lose the game, but I've basically won the war versus Pelgia at this point. It's ridiculously long into the game. I'm basically moving on to year 7 here. If I had even just a few hundred extra gold out of, areas like this, that's going to significantly alter the whole chain of events that we start seeing. And yes, I will lose it closer to year, what was it, 3, I think, when Pelgia goes to war with me. Yeah, I think it was right around year 3. So, yeah, I know that. I know better than to make landfall on a single side. Basically bringing my god across here. While it saved me basically some expansion time to grab these with my god since I was right here, the other option is that I just literally pull back across here and begin expanding down. And that's pretty smart to do. As I said, I've run into this problem before when I get stuck in the water. And generally the best thing I've found to do is to take multiple fronts outside of the water. And that's very doable with this god. Very, very doable. What else did I not like? There's been a ton of problems as far as I'd consider technical. And it's mostly because I just kept thinking I was going to be Dom killed. I had never really calculated in that, oh, I'm Dom 9, so I'm actually going to be able to really fight this out for a while. And that's exactly what ended up happening here. But we'll talk more on that when I get to the good. So the whole like 50-minute videos and stuff like that, I really don't mean to do it, but obviously I just kept thinking, much like me being tired, I probably should have just quit recording at some point right there. But the only thing going through my head is I've got to be dead here shortly. Just one more turn and it'll happen anytime. I'm still thinking that, and in fact, when I start seeing the very heavy populated candles off the land, that's a bad thing. This right here has heavy candles, but this is not off of the land. Those are actually Dominion from Pelagia itself. It's entirely likely, well, I'll get to that again when we move into the where I'm going with this game. So, definitely a problem from a technical standpoint, in my opinion, because I don't like rambling on or just ridiculously long videos, which this might actually turn into both of those. Other things that were wrong is going to be trying to basically free these provinces right here while trying to so undercut what I needed or what I probably should have brought that it ends up costing me not only a mage up here, but my prophet right here, who automatically throws out one check every turn. Your god's going to drop 3 automatically. Well, your prophet's automatically going to drop 1. That's not insignificant when you begin looking at something like this. And losing 6 months worth of my prophet, probably a big deal. In fact, I could have had him sitting right here on this, preaching the whole time. Could have saved myself a lot of gold right here as well, if I actually bring the correct amount of stuff. And that would probably mean just bringing the slaves with me when I attack into here. Pretty simple concept. And then my prophet manages to kill him. I bring the slaves down into here, meet up with the other army at some point, or I send somebody back for them, and then I literally bring my prophet back here, and I throw in 5 or 6 province defense. I've basically done this just so that I can get a priest in here, because your regular guys are pretty terrible. Yeah, so that would have given me another preacher, definitely a better value in terms of what I could have done, because he would have been sitting here preaching, and I might actually have a better or safer Dominion situation than what I have, because this is going to be a hard hole to climb out of. So, likewise up here, I probably just needed to bring a few more Lobo Guard. The game had kind of stabilized at that point. That's just getting stingy. Also, it was pretty close. I really wonder if I had went with not a guard commander order, but a hold and attack with my Abu Dai sitting kind of just the front end of them, so that they'll take the initial charge, but hopefully be able to move in front of him. Maybe he's able to escape, at the very least, when the Abu Dai, enough of them die, but they should have been the shields and not behind him due to that guard commander order. Not only that, I should have just brought a few more Lobo Guard with me. Other bad. Oh, the ridiculously bad problem, because these are going to be your best underwater schools right here. And really, this is also going to be your best counter rush for any type of elemental magical nation. And what I mean by that is summon fire elemental. In this case, what we're really looking at is summon water elemental, because I've had access to this and had no idea. Summon earth elemental, or the other one, oh, air elemental, yeah, I missed them. They are basically the best thing you can possibly do to turn this right here into combat power in any type of rush situation. And I actually had already managed to grab it. I didn't realize that I had managed to grab it, which actually makes a pretty significant difference in the number of troops I lose, which may actually affect overall how fast I get into these forts, meaning they don't get a fort put up here. When you start really getting into timings like that, it's not a guaranteed thing, but it's certainly a possible thing that if they had just been able to get through some of this a little quicker, perhaps I can kind of take these seas back a little sooner. It's very hard to guess there, but the elementals definitely would have saved me a lot of troops. Size 4 attack underwater regenerating elementals are going to be pretty solid no matter how I look at it. That was a huge mistake not noticing that I had hit that. I can really turn a lot of my gems into overall combat power that way. And I mean, I do eventually catch it when I take this back right here, and I realize, well, I got a turn of research, and I want to hit that Conjuration 5 if I can. And I look at it, and I was like, oh, wow, I already have Conjuration 5. Whoops. Yeah, pretty big deal when you start looking at that sort of thing there. Yeah, that's a big snafu on my part. Could I have actually turned the extra troops that survive into a quicker fort take and then actually rolling out into the various areas here? I don't know. It's worth consideration, I'd say. Is it actually going to work out that way? I don't know, but it's each little thing that kind of adds up. And likewise, I will say from a technical standpoint, this guy should not have a water lens. He's not really going to do anything with it. The double... what is it? Damn, I can't remember the name of the spell. Battle Fortune that I'm doing right here. That's it's pretty much going to tire this guy out overall. Yeah, so technical standpoint, moving some of these items around, and like when I take this fort next turn, I'll probably take off all the items that I don't need. Because if I had those water lenses sitting inside here, that leads to something like this, where I, again, got kind of stingy with my gems. These guys should have gotten quite a few gems each when I was right here fighting the battle. Because I actually want them to be able to cast water elementals again in this battle, and only one of them can because only one has a water lens. So that's definitely, will that actually again affect the gameplay? I still think I could take this fort, but I'm going to take heavier losses due to the fact that I just didn't get my elementals like I needed to. These are, I don't know, it's great that I've ended up with them, because it is really lucky that I've picked up some extra troops here. It's a little funny to see these. These are, you got Yomi in the early age, which is your demon nation. I've done a Let's Play with them. In fact, they're probably my favorite nation. At least they were from Dominions 3. I don't know if I'd still call them my favorite nation in Dominions 4. The middle age is Shiniyama. That's where the Bakemono take over. The demons are able to be summoned still with national spells, but they basically don't exist as far as just running around running the country. And then the late age version is the Rise of the Samurai, and I forget the name of the late age version. They actually have some great troops overall, and these are actually underwater troops from the late age version. And I find it actually just kind of hilarious because the Dragon Kings are really good casters. It's hard to get underwater because they don't have any sort of amphibious troops with their late age version. But once you get underwater and you can get some Dragon Kings, they're a fantastic nation. You're also going to end up with the troops, the ones we're looking at right here, actually. I just find this kind of funny because they serve the Dragon Kings since they claimed dominion over the seas. They waged war against the Tritons of Pelgea. I do find that kind of ironic considering I am fighting the Tritons of Pelgea. I also find it a little odd that for whatever reason they're in the early age, because I don't know of any references to them in the very early age. In fact, them fighting Pelgea at some point really is the only reference. And it's also kind of ironic because the whole thing is they are kind of the frontline troops versus the war on L.A. R'lyeh, my nation, actually, the late age version of it, which the Dreamlands turns into a complete Cthulhu mythos thing. Everybody starts going absolutely insane, which is why these all have the Void Sanity. Yeah, so a little interesting that not only am I fighting Pelagia, but they're actually aiding me here in this early war. I understand the star spawn haven't hit, there's no meteorite yet, so the Dreamlands is not actually basically wiped all other life from the ocean, and all sanity from basically everything. Just kind of funny overall. But it's really nice that I did end up with these, because I could really use 17 protection units right now. Oh, it sucks that you're starving. Are any of you diseased? Yeah, a couple of you are. Alright. Was there any other real bad stuff? No, I think that pretty much covers it all. I just really can't stress enough, though, making landfall on an opposite side. Just in terms of just straight up money. Let's, take these two provinces, which I did lose, but just say I managed to grab up a couple over here, not even the farmlands. This waste, I don't remember, what was it, like 17 gold, but this is like 60 gold right here, if I remember right, 60 something. That's like 80 gold between these two provinces, and when I actually lose my whole land foothold, I only have, what, 850 gold income? I mean, 80 gold at that point, that's like 10% of my income that was coming out of those. So any land nations or land provinces you can hold really make an extreme difference. Unfortunately, much like you saw, because that's a year one war, what real options do I have to fight the land? Nothing. So, into the good. I managed to catch my evocation, or excuse me, alteration 6, conjuration 5. I didn't realize I had the conjuration 5, but once I realized it, that's great. It would have been even better if I could have managed to grab the thaumaturgy 5. I'm not sure how much good the Strength of Giants is going to do me, since my god is dead now. This was going to be basically to remove the penalty that comes with Wave Warriors, because Wave Warriors actually is going to lower their strength and movement speed, so the damage output on them goes down by 4, and I just bring it right back up with Strength of Giants. Unfortunately, I needed my god to cast that, and he is toast. Probably will be toast the whole game, if not the whole game, at least a very large portion of it. I'm going to need 100 priest levels to get him back, and this will probably be the only unit I can spare once I get done moving him around and making temples to even bother calling him back. But the research I managed to grab was enough to actually hold me in the game, completely and utterly. You can see that I haven't been researching for many years, so I'm really kind of stuck where I'm at right now. But at the same time, I managed to get just enough research to give me all of the magic that I did need in order to succeed in this battle underwater. And I realized it was coming. I didn't realize it was coming quite as quickly as it did, but it was pretty obvious what was on the horizon for me. Other things that I've done right is just being able to maintain. I'm not going to lie, because when you get in a situation where you're down to like 4 provinces, such as I was, you're going to find it really, really problematic to ever come back from something like that. 400 gold when you're fighting, a couple hundred units each turn, that's just it's a situation that you're generally not going to win. But now that I've managed to get my second army up, thanks entirely to basically this army finally grabbing some forts over here, it's pretty much under control. This will be a army that's going to come across and basically just keep wiping out and clearing these forts until I take control of this water province and this one right up here. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to take it. We'll really have to see how the game's going at that point. I'm not sure what their god is going to be. A lot of air magic, and I probably won't be able to take their god out. A pretty decent Dominion score, I probably won't be able to take their god out, because I'm not going to have the troops to do it. If he's got real heavy water magic, that means he's actually going to have really good cold resistance, which is going to completely remove Frozen Heart spam. That again will take something out of the equation that I can use to kill him. There's a whole lot of ifs and maybes at this point. The important thing is, though, is this army just keeps all of my land clear. I get some more gold out of these forts right here. And I use this to basically wrap up these last couple provinces right here. I am picking up a single mage right here to grab these Lobo Guard. I don't know who's going to need help with them. And then we're going to siege down their capital right here, which is the overall game plan. So, that is where we are going, at least. Or what's good is that I have that second army. That is where I'm actually going with the gameplay overall. I really think this is a fantastic map in terms of Water Nations. I haven't played on this map. I don't ever remember actually playing on this map. I do wish there were some options to just hit random map and it would allow you to just pick a map at random, but whatever. Instead of making a random map, much like you could just do, a random nation and it will pick one out of the thing. I wish the same could be done with the maps overall, because this is an interesting map that I might play a little bit more on, but I really like the feature of this land right here inside the water. And this is an old map, so it's quite interesting because there were no coastal recruits. That whole coastal recruit thing, that was not a thing for all of the underwater nations like it was. And two nations such as Pelgia right here, or R'lyeh right here, they can really gain some benefit from something like this. In fact, when they were doing the water patch, I think I posted in one of the threads that was up at the time about the thing I would like to see most in the game was I really wanted to see I wanted to see islands. I'm trying to say the actual name for it, but I can't think of it. Well, I can think of it, but acapella is how you sing, so it's something close to that. I wanted to see a new terrain type, though. Basically, something that was a mix of not deep sea, but sea, as well as land. And the reason I wanted to see that is so that you could actually have a type of province where underwater mages could possibly go to do a lot of these land-based spells. But this is a nice feature where you actually have this safe land inside of your ocean. So the chances of any of the land nations being able to completely remove you from the land side of things, that doesn't really exist. This is a great place if I was playing Pelgia to actually run my wish factories. Likewise, I can buy my crazy mages here. This is a very safe spot in terms of summoning up, empowering, first off, one of my crazy mages, but then eventually summoning up my Mound Fiends here. So, a lot of death gems required right there, but the Mound Fiend is basically going to cost you 60 gems, 60 gems, one for the Empower, 10 for a Skull Staff, actually, but you're going to be having to spend 10 per Mound Fiend summoned, and 30 for an Empower, so, it's great to see something like that. Ivy Kings as well. Ivy Kings is another spell that I really have access to. Where are they? Right here. But these are both ones that cannot be cast underwater. And if you can't hold the land, it becomes pretty hard to actually do. I've kind of taken to just saving 500 gold and raiding a land province. Telling my guy to actually build up a laboratory. And then if I have to fall back right after the laboratory, it's pretty easy to do. So I just basically fall back, and then I attack out again with a force, and then I try to get all my summons. And because the Mound Fiend and the Ivy Kings, they can actually both go within the water. So I don't know. It's a very nice feature to see this on a map overall. So the overall game plan is much as I have stated. Oh, we're going to actually do the other good thing, and that is going to be, my god was a boss this game. Dom 9 is super expensive. Super expensive. In fact, I'm going to try to tell you, with most gods, you're just not going to want to put 9 into your Dominion with an Awake Expander because you just don't have it. But at the same time, he really held me out in terms of the gameplay here. The number of Lobo Guard he saved while he was alive, out there tanking that front line while providing the fear effect as well, was massive, not to be understated even a little bit. So uh, I was very surprised that he ended up, especially in the bad Dominion that we were sitting in, he ended up being a factor like he was. So Dom 9 paid for itself in that regards. The other thing is, like I mentioned in the technical, kind of from technical standpoint, I kept thinking I was going to die any moment, and I probably should have, except that Dom 9 has saved me. That's oh, sorry baby girl, you need out from under the computer. That entire Dom 9 not only made my Goss into a boss, which he was able to, up until I managed to run into that guy with the eye catcher, which I knew they had because I had looked at one of them at some point before. That's annoying because I could have actually killed the horror if I had eyeballs on my guy. Well, whatever. That's what something like eye catchers for is for something like that. But the Dom 9 has well paid for itself this game. I don't know if it's going to actually be able to net me a win here, because once you see the land start getting heavy candles into the water, you're in some serious trouble at that point. And preaching this away is pretty much not going to be something I can do. I'm going to have to just basically keep diverting all my gold. As I free this, I'm going to put another temple up right here. And I'll probably come up here and get a temple in after that. As much as I'm going to want to smash some of these forts, I actually don't think I am going to smash any of these forts for the Popple Mothers, because I really don't think I have the gold overall to do it at this point. As much as I hate it, we're going to just have to push up to Telestric Animates here. And those are going to have to be my Preachers underwater, because I'm just basically going to have to do like another Water Nation and utilize either my Astral Pearls for the Telestric Animations here to preach. You can go with the Bishop Fishes up here. These are actually Holy Threes. So they can preach up to 7 candles if I get temples everywhere, and they'll be very effective preachers overall. The problem is that's a lot of water gems for a single bishop fish, and they do cost upkeep as well. I really do wish they didn't cost upkeep because, you know, summon and everything like that. But it is what it is. So I'm going to have to look at one of these features. I just can't afford the Popple Mothers at this point. If I had not been planning against another Water Nation, this whole game looks so different that you can't even believe it. In this regards, though, this is also going to affect my research at this point, because I need something that can wipe out massive armies overall. So there are a few options here. Basically, the time for alteration has long since passed. I'm not even going to bother going any farther into it. It's allowed me to stay in the game, but at the same point, the alteration magic, I'm not going to be able to actually field an army large enough on the land for it to matter at all. Not just kind of, at all. And what I mean by that is, what real options do I have here? The death side of things, Darkness Casters, I'm still going to need to throw a lot of money into troops, and I just am not going to have that money. Because whichever option I'm looking at, I have to be able to build out quite a few mages. So I'm going to have a good research core coming up, which means that even when I limp into the a victory mode here against Pelgia, what you're going to find is I basically will have spent my entire upkeep from there on out on just a research core. And that's really the beginning and end of the conversation. So I'll never have the money to really build any of those Lobo Guard up like I need to. In fact, I'm kind of wondering what I'm going to do to take these land provinces up here. I've got some ideas. It depends if they end up with a bunch of Astral Mages in there. So, what other options do I have as far as research goes? Nephil Flames. Nephil Flames, probably something I could manage to do. It's going to require Water 5, but my Mind Lords can get Water 5 with a Bracelet. It's only 10 damage, but it is going to be an area effect 25. It's so big that if I could get a few casters that can throw out Nephil Flames, I should be able to overall just stomp the other armies after that. I am going to need a few casters who can do it overall. Other options that I have. Well, the other real big option I have is going to be coming down here for Master Enslave, which is what I'm actually going to do overall. I need spells that will really give me a chance to win the game. If I can end up with Master Enslave, that's pretty much good game if I can just get my preachers up in the water. As well, that's going to be a lot of very nice spells out of here. I'll be able to pick up Soul Slay, uh, Teleport. Yeah, I already have Teleport, but like Gateway. Gateway is very important. And this is actually part of the reason where I didn't think about it in terms of the game overall. Uh, when I first started the nation, I went real heavy with production skills, thinking I'm going to have trouble getting my troops from inside the water because I don't even have the coastal recruits to the front line, so I was going to have to look for some really good indies. It turns out that's not really true. It is quite expensive, but when you can just start teleporting into other labs, it makes a pretty big, significant difference. Like if my army's out here and I'm recruiting out of here, I would cost me 10 Astral Pearls, but I can take a Mind Lord with as many troops as he can lead and just basically teleport them into a lab up here. Yeah, that one's only from lab to lab. You have to go all the way to Thaumaturgy 9 for Astral Travel, and only a quarter of mine with a Crystal Coin are able to do this one. Very expensive as well, but you're able to actually go anywhere on the map. Well, not anywhere, still a 5-range province, but it's not like a lab-to-lab transfer and it brings all the troops with them. So yeah, Master Enslave or Needful Flames are what I really have my eye on. The alteration side is great in terms of I will hit it right around that year 3 like I did. You're not playing against another water nation, so you probably should control all of the water. And so, let's say Hinnom, because they went to war with me. Well, it's fine. I just start bringing those armies out here, and then my research corps stays underwater. And they continue to research, and eventually they're going to bring me that Construction 6 for my Lightless Lanterns. And then I use the Lightless Lanterns in order to push to Conjuration 7 real fast, and then I make another deep push into the Alteration. It just kind of spirals itself into that mid-game war area. The Alteration at this point is going to be wholly insufficient until I grab up some of the world map. Instead, I'm going to be going the other route, which would be you use Evocation. Probably Evocation 5 is about the best you're going to find overall. You're going to grab Falling Frost. Well, it's not about the best overall. It's the best research for that mid-game spike again. What you really want is you want 7. That's going to be your Ice Strike and your Mind Darts, Nether Darts, excuse me. But yeah, those are both non-options. So I'm going to hit that construction. The Lightless Lanterns. Once I have this back, I'll need to, of course, put a temple in here, which I'm planning on doing. But I need to get a lab up in here as well, because these are going to be those cheaper Marrow Shamans. And I'm going to be able to utilize Lightless Lanterns on them in order to really limp me to that alteration, or excuse me, Thaumaturgy 9 that I'm going to need. Because that's a long ways off. That is such a massive distance right now that it's not even funny. So yeah, that's the overall game plan. Get that Tham 9, get the whole seas under control. I mean, I really want to just basically wipe them out. I'm less concerned with that overall. If I could just kick them completely out of the water, they should dom kill at some point. I mean, I really, 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 really want these 2 farmlands. I'm just not sure I'm going to have the magic to actually go onto land and take them from them. So, yeah. And the reason I'm basically saying I don't know what I can do to take the lands, because if you're going to look around here, you, yeah. All those are unable to leave the sea until I start making items for them. That's going to be not just kind of a problem, that's going to be a massive problem. Sure, I don't have my god. I did manage to pick this guy up, so I can still I could still manage to forge my amulets of the fish to get these out of the water. But I don't have the kind of resources to be thrown into something like this. I really don't. So we'll see how it goes overall, but it's not looking pretty. It's not looking pretty. I mean, I really... Well, these ones, they're next to Hinnom, and Hinnom's just going to take them away from me, probably. Because they're going to have a ton of troops. If I could manage to grab these two up, I would be extremely happy before they were Dom killed. Other than that, I'm happy to just say, well, I hope you get Dom killed overall. I, in all likelihood, will be Dom killed before that point. But we'll see what I can do about it. So, get control of the waters, get my Telestric animates up. If nothing else, anywhere where there's labs, because there's not like a lab right here, I could just basically keep summoning Telestric animates into a couple of provinces, say, well, these 4 right here. And once I get enough Telestric animates across these provinces right here, I'm just going to put probably 10 or 20 of them. Yeah, that many per province, because it is a problem at this point, and I'm just going to tell them all to preach, which should give me a safe area, at least take me out of that whole can be Dom killed right now area. Because look at the map. Just look at anything I can see. What area is not templed up? I mean, you got a couple here, but I'm basically facing the maximum amount of Dom damages I possibly can right now. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Fingers crossed that this game is actually turned into a victory. I still have my doubts about it because I still recognize the very precarious situation I'm in. If I can get control of the waters quick enough, then that means I can get my research done, which means I can get some preachers out, and then I've basically got a won game. How long is it going to take me to do that? Can I do it quick enough? I don't know. I guess we'll find out.